Good evening, bonsoir, shubh sandhya, namaskar to all our distinguished guests, more trainers, speakers, and of course our learners. Thank you for being with us for the past 2 days. I'm sure we've all taken something back from each session. And today is the last session, which might be a little bit extended because there may be questions that you would like to put. So this is Dr. Anju Sabharwal, Director Academics IIU and co-member of IIU. I would like to welcome all the participants to the final day of our certified trainers course. IIU, the world's first virtual university, provides aspiring trainers, educators, principals, edu-leaders, directors, edupreneurs, coaches, students, and every individual an opportunity to master coaching skills and apply them in the best way possible. This has been established by the energetic and dynamic Mr. Piyush Pandit, sir, a visionary educationist from past 2 decades. We had specially designed a 3-day comprehensive certified global trainers program, a training program by our trainers who are experienced and well qualified and globally acknowledged, which gives the trainees an opportunity to work on their skills and core competencies and come out with something more exciting and innovative and unique, eventually benefiting the end users. So join us in our mission to make education equal for all by choosing IIU. So let's begin day 3 of this program. I would just like to say that we have reinvented, we have reimagined, and I think revision, as my seniors have always taught me, helps. So I'm sure we're going to revise certain things we already know and take back what is valuable. To start the day, it gives me a great sense of pride and awe to introduce to you our first mentor or trainer, as I would like to call him, Vasudev sir, with his rich knowledge and astute experience of helping organizations upskill individuals, and his repertoire of fantastic awards that he has achieved. There is something which sadly I left out yesterday. Excuse me, sir, for that. He's currently serving as a senior volunteer for a worldwide socio-spiritual organization, namely BAPS, Swaminarayan Sanstha, and has served as a project administrator for the Akshardham Monument to be commissioned in 2023 in New Jersey, USA. To further add, sir also serves on Bhumi and Feeding India as a development team head. As an only NCC cadet to be represented NCC at the Republic Day Parade on 26 January 1977-78. He's passionate about singing, dancing, rifle shooting, and mountaineering and Himalayan trekking programs. Welcome, sir, to day 3, and please lead us to another session of learning, unlearning, and relearning. Over to you, Vasudev, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to the session, sir.
Yeah.
All yours.
Thank you, Anjuji, equally, and IIU team members for giving me a privilege to deliver something what I know, or maybe something what I want to learn as well. Friend, I'll be delivering a subject called Percocites, and would appreciate. I think a screen has been shared to me. Yeah.
So there's a share screen arrow at the bottom of the screen. You could click on that.
No, it is disabled yet.
Is it?
So, no problem. You take your own time and just let me know.
Just a second, sir.
G.
I will put
You can
like
share. You can share, sir, because you were not there, so it was not given. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. So subject matter is obviously Percocites. I hope everyone is aware of the Percocites. From my end, if I remember my old days of being with the corporates, these perks, shortly written, were nothing but a sort of a variable or a part of a salary which used to be paid to us in terms of non-taxability. What are the perks we used to get? Those were non-taxable. And since I left the corporate area in 2013, almost 10 years before, slowly and slowly, these terms came into picture, that fixed and the variable. No, fixed is fixed, that is salary. Your basic salary, your dearness allowance, whatnot, X plus Y plus Z makes a salary. But the variable was different. I do remember, I shall share you one of my case study, that when I was joining Adani Power as associated VP for the infrastructure projects, that is power projects, when variable part came in to be signed as a contract or signed as an MOU between Adani and the employee and employer, I was being told, I mean, not told, but requested, whether you'll be needing a car or you'll be opting for cash component equivalent to the car's value. I do remember I had solely decided to go with the car, not the cash component of the car. So that amount in those days was 2012. I'm talking about, I left the organization in 2013. With these perks or variable, earned very nicely. And fortunately, I achieved the target. On achieving the target, after 3 months or so, if I'm correct, I was being called up by the HR people. That's why your variable is due. So would appreciate to let us know what sort of car you are looking at. Fortunate, that was a time of, exchanging my old car also. However, it was a lovable journey with the HR people and the corporates. 2 corporates I should mention. One is a corporate where I was working, and the other corporate was Maruti Suzuki, for which 5 lakhs variable I had signed for, and I achieved it. However, at that point of time when I was signing my variable or concluding my variable, it was not an exchange of a car, it was just getting a car. So when this time got matured and I was, very much, applicable for the car. Suddenly in my mind, I planned to go for an exchange. Now, this is a lovable journey or lovable story, I should mention, because how the corporates are friendly with the employees, or how the employee becomes friendly with the corporate, here the story starts. So meanwhile, Vice President HR Mr. Sharma called me. Vasudev sir, I learned from my junior that you are looking at exchange of a car. I said, yes. So at that point of time, if I remember, I wanted to go for an i10, which is Hyundai made. And I already had a car which was to be exchanged, was a Maruti Suzuki. But fortunately or unfortunately, when I was looking for from my end about exchanging the car, I was not getting the proper exchange amount from switching from Maruti Suzuki to i10, that is Hyundai made. So I was not happy in those days that why I'm getting the lesser amount of the exchange. But these two corporates, when they interconnected themselves about, switching this car from Maruti to Hyundai, they concluded nicely because they went through some of the cumbersome exercise, mentioning if I go with the Suzuki to Suzuki, I was getting a better amount in terms of exchange. But if I'm exchanging from Suzuki to Hyundai, I was not getting a proper amount. That is a legitimate amount, what I say. So fortunately, these both the companies or the corporates interacted, and I was being informed by HR that it is better you should switch from the same company's car to the new car, not the different company's car. The segment is getting different. I said, fine, I should get my value for money for my car. So fortunately, it was a decision that we should go from Suzuki to Suzuki, from Maruti Wagon R to Estilo. But here the story turns down that once I admitted for exchanging my car from Wagon R to Estilo, say for example, my reselling of the car, when I was looking at reselling or exchanging, I was getting 1.5 lakhs. But when corporate to corporate interacted, it was concluded that I'll be getting 2 lakhs. So 50,000 is not a small amount for me, at least. So it added a value to 1.5 lakhs. So we concluded at 2 lakhs. Another new story from corporate to corporate, that is in terms of variable. Now, this was the month of March. So if say March 2013, I think, yeah. So if I buy a car manufactured in January 2013, a new car was costing 5 lakhs. Whereas if I buy a car which is manufactured in 2012 December, I was getting at 4.6. So again, HR people came to me, sir, this is again 40,000 a value difference just because of year of exchange. Year of manufacturing. I said, fine. Is it going to make any difference into the book we get, RC book, that is a registration book? He said, nothing to bother, because the day we are making the payment, that will be the only date which will be, entitled for that particular registration date. I said, fine. So 40 plus 50, 90,000, what I'm looking at is nothing but again a variable added to my car cost, which was 5 lakhs. So I was getting not 5 lakhs, but 5.9. I exchanged the car. I'm happy. But here and again, what we feel is technically or logically, if you abide by your corporate rules or corporates, people support you. I think again, yesterday we had a very good discussion about attitude. Herein, I think my attitude worked well. And I got 90,000 plus as a additional perk or additional variable for which I was not at all entitled. And it was learning for me that I was compulsory to get retired, because as Anju madam declared that I was being coordinating the stone coordination work in India for the New Jersey Akshardham, which is getting consecrated in August or September 2023. I was leaving this company with good terms, probably. Secondly, my behavior, mannerism with the company, which added a value to my variable, that is 5 lakhs to 5.9. Now, this is not only the Percocite. I'll give you one more beautiful case study of mine. I was working with Shabaji Palanji as a regional manager in Gujarat. In those days, I think it was 2009 when Cyrus Mistry was alive, and Cyrus Mistry was a chairman of Tata Sons. He was going to sign an MOU with Narendra Modi's government to put up a power plant in Gujarat. So he had brought 1 or 2 copies of MOUs, which was almost 200 to 300 pages MOU. And fortunately, they were to be submitted in 3 copies or 2 copies, I don't know. But the director of Shaburji Palanji had come and had, submitted their MOU in a single copy, probably. The 1 copy was a spare one, which was almost 200 to 250 pages of a handbook, sort of. So once they came to our office, so director, I do remember Mr. Hengorani. Mr. Hengorani assisted his secretary that give this all 250 pages, MOU to Vasudev to throw it in a dustbin. This was amazing part. What I did, I reshuffled all the pages, all 200 pages. It was one-sided printed and one-sided blank. So what I did is, I kept that MOU on my desk and put it a flower vase on the top. So director insisted me and initiated me that, no, Vasudev, this is to be thrown away. Then what I said to him, I did not know, it was by fluke. I told him, sir, all the second pages, this is one-sided printing. I'm going to use the second pages and then I'll throw into the dustbin. Next day morning, when we opened our emails, I was being awarded cash award of 25,000 for saving such stationery, which is already printed on one side, but using the other side of that stationery or an MOU. It was on in emails to the entire corporate sector. A check of 25,000 was scanned and screenshot, and it was, displayed on the emails of all seniors and juniors. Again, I would define this to be my integrity toward the environment, maybe, which, paid me 25K without putting up any sort of a single efforts. I would define this variable also be a variable, but again, attitude works. This was attitude towards environment. So saving stationery was important. Equally, director has mentioned in the very small letters, maybe the font size of 8, that we need 100 managers such as Vasudev who can save a lot of stationery by using the using the unprinted size of the stationery. So this is also a sort of a perk, I would say, or variable. However, as we have seen, fixed is the salary, and variable, you don't know how much unknown you are going to get or known you are going to get, or you are going to receive from the corporate. However, variable is depending upon lot many factors, achieving the targets. Equally, your punctuality speaks into these variables. Sometimes you are given with small sort of, handy gifts so that people learn to be punctual, to be on time in the corporates when biometric or this thing, whatever the new generation of managing time are maintained. No casual emoluments or benefit attached to an office or a position in addition to the salary is nothing but a variable or a perk. Something that benefits a man by going into his own pocket. As we narrated, this is non-taxable and need not be only in kind, it can be in cash also. As I received a cash award for 25K for just saving the stationery. I received one of the Titan watches also in terms of kind. But that was again in terms of variable perks. These are the conditions, actually, that it is between employer and employee. It is subjected to your continuous of employment. Sometimes people in a hurry or in a rush or in some other, invulnerable circumstances, they leave the job. But once they come to know, oh, I would have resigned in the month of May, not in the month of March, because your incentive was from financial year March to April or April to March. Equally dependable on services you rendered. And this is nothing but a personal advantage, friends. Here the last sentence, very important. Derived by virtue of employer's authority. Here virtue, ethics and values, they work. It is not necessary. Sometimes your salary is say X. Your variable may be 1.5X or maybe 2X, depending upon your performance capabilities and your end results. Yeah. Sometimes rent-free accommodations provided by employer. Sometimes concessional rents are also applicable to an employee just to maintain this housing, his own personal gardening, power bills, electricity bill, etc. As I mentioned, concessional accommodation provided by employer. Now, value of benefits provided like furniture and accommodation. Sometimes, supposing I am an employee of IKEA, I'm going to get a very, very, very legitimate and reasonable rates, the furniture I wanted for my own accommodation. Personal obligations of an employee met by an employer. This is, it is one-to-one, it is not one-to-all. Supposing I'm handling a cash of 2 crores per day, or sorry, transactions of 2 crores per day, and I'm doing with immense of integrity and honesty, obviously This transaction after a year or maybe 2 years or maybe 1.5 years or maybe 3 years, depending on the time frame, it is going to have a personal side of, the seniors of our corporate to help us in monetarily, either in cash or kind. Funds paid by employer other than RPF insurance funds. Insurance, then provident funds, health insurance, vehicle insurance are not at all the part of this particular variables or perquisites. These are totally different segment. Equally, fringe benefits allowed to employ for organization other than company means fringe benefits. Suppose I'm going for an LTA. Now I'm entitled to travel within India, having a domestic tour. But it may happen if the management is happy with my performance, it may allow me to have an international travel with some additional vouchers, airport lounges, facilities, etc., with the additional credit cards which I should carry. But this is again one-to-one. Now, the last line it is written RSGEL, rent-free or concessional accommodation, right? Sweeper in-house, gardener, watchman, personal attendant, etc. Even the driver, sometimes the car also. And free concessional rates towards gas, electricity, water, etc. Sometimes children's educational facility over family members. This also includes sometimes your servants and dependents. And LT, as I mentioned, leave travel concession beyond 2 travels in a block year. This is in hands of employee, how we perform and how he reciprocates. Again, in the car category B, it is mentioned car given by employer. Transport facilities given by transport undertaking. I mean, local transport. Supposedly, if I go by public transport from location X to location Y, I'm paying $100 per trip or per single journey. So if it is $200, company is going to provide me transport facility by hiring their own pooled vehicles and charging me $50 or $60 according to the standard of the city or the population of the city. So rent-free accommodation, company's house given free of cost or rented by company to employee. So this is already discussed. Sometimes company provides you in advance an apartment bought for you or a farmhouse bought for you, a handset, high-end handset bought for you, right? Secondly, there is some formality. Once you complete your HR formality and you're joining the company, today's scenario is different. Today's scenario is nothing. But once you join, and once you finish your HR and admin and all formality, they will call you that you can collect your safety shoes, safety goggles, laptop, adapter, mobile phones, in case you want safety belts if you are into very much, going to a very unsafe environment to work for, and lot many parameters and lot many accessories. You'll be having a beautiful, set of pen. You'll be equally having a beautiful pen holder, some flower vase, some backpack, lot much. So this is apart from what you get the fixed salary. Now herein, there are some exceeding expectations from a employee, because employer provides you lot much in terms of variables, that is carrying with himself. So herein, supposedly, these are the table I have just narrated as a census of 2001, when I used to give some, hints to HR managers about what shall be the perks and what shall be the very fixed. So this we need not to go into depth, but however, whatever the variable depends on the city you stay, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, like that. And the corporate also you work, A plus, B plus, like that. Now, if house property is owned by employer, depends on the population of the city, percentage differs. Big city, it is 15% of the salary. Now, herein, whenever any sort of, rented accommodation is to be provided, because it is not necessary that corporate should have their own inventory to rent out for the employees. Sorry. Now, rentals are variables. Your salary is also variable depending on the city. So when I'm working in Ahmedabad, I'm happy within 15,000. But if I'm working in Bangalore, I need 35 to 40K. Again, if I work in Delhi, I need 50 to 60K. It is on the slab wise of as per the inflation of the city or the population or the growth of the city. So second para, house is rented by employee, given to an employee, it is 15% of the salary or rent paid by the employer, whichever is less, taxable for specific. Now here in one, as an employer, your employee, your taste works. Supposedly you are entitled for 2 BHK, but you want 4 BHK. So company is not going to provide you 4 BHK. Company will share you some details that this is a rent for this 4 BHK. You are applicable for this 2 BHK. However, we'll be happy to serve you with 4 BHK, but this is the difference you have to pay, or it should be either taxable or non-taxable. That HR team works out and comes to a finest conclusion, so that we both are, amicably satisfying each other. Now, similarly, the furniture provided by an employer. As we told, I need of my own taste of furniture. Now, company has decided we should give him the queen size bed of 25K. But no, I want queen size bed of 35K. So that 10K is again settled among employer and employee and worked out accordingly. This is nothing but for receiving on hand the salaries despite the perks. I should not mention, but should mention, in India, we have got third component, which is underneath the table. So this has nothing to do with any of the fixed salary, nor the variable. This is the third component, which is directly directly connected from employer to employee, but this is happening in a very small organization, not a big corporate, because there are some policy matters. Now, as we all know, today the digital era, because the digital money, cash component is slowly getting lost from the society, because our government itself is keen to make it entire money to be digitized, or it should be the transactions through the banks. Reimbursement of expenses, yes. Supposedly I'm putting up fuel, I'm entitled to put up the fuel for 10,000 per month. But if it is working out 15,000, 5,000 one has to bear as an employee. That is not a burden of employer. However, if you justify that your journey was just because of companies oriented programs and companies related, transits or travel, then reimbursement is happening. Now see, conveyance facility provided by High Court judges and Supreme Court judges. This is not I cancelled it that because this has nothing to do with our Percocites and variable. Conveyance facilities provided to an employee to cover journey between office and, as we mentioned, if I travel by a public transport or a private taxi or something, I'm paying $200 per day. However, company is going to give me a conveyance, say 1,600 as a full-fledged, or they will provide me with the vehicle and they'll be charging me again those day-to-day passes issued to me. Yes, this is one of the finest mode of variable which has been started recently by many corporates, interest-free loans. They want to buy a car, they can buy a car. There is zero interest on the loan. This is 20,000 is, I'm talking about 2001. Today it is almost 4 lakhs. Gift in kind up to 5,000 in a year. Now 5,000 a year is again a census of 2001. It is not 2020 or 22. Employers contribution to staff group insurance scheme. Yes. However, this is group insurance schemes means security schemes or health insurance schemes. But today, I would always, it is my learning as a health insurance advisor, one should opt for a group insurance scheme of the corporate, but equally should have his own individual health insurance. Why? I'll give you a beautiful example. In group insurance schemes, it is a general coverage of your health insurance. It is just like a supermarket or a mall you are going in for. I'll give you a beautiful example in these terms, that supposedly I want to buy a woodland shoe and I'm going to a supermarket or a very big store, mega store. But the shoe I'm looking at, I may not get it. I may also get it, I may not get it. But 90% you'll not get it. 10% are the chances you'll get it. The reason is, this particular shoe, what model you're looking at, is available in dedicated woodland showrooms only, not in a big stores. So here in group insurance schemes, they cover, a general criteria of kinds of diseases, not the specific diseases. So once you want to have a specific disease to be covered, you need to have a dedicated your own health insurance. So this is, I'm just giving an example. Oh, unfortunately, I think because of time concern, I had put up the thankfulness to all of you for listening me with patience and continuing the journey with the other speakers as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vasudev, sir. That was indeed very interesting. And you brought out, the tiniest explanations as to how the HR works. I think it benefited the entire spectrum of our learners today. Moving on, it gives me great honor and pride to introduce to you all the speaker for the next speaker for the day today. Just give me a second. I think I'm already in awe of her achievements, so I'm very sorry. I would like to welcome our very distinguished and talented trainer for the next session, that is Dr. Nidhi Bansal, ma'am. She's a bilingual poet and a published author. Also is an editor on various literary magazines. Her passion for power yoga is something which runs deep. Besides being an author, she has done several stints in modeling, given voiceovers on All India Radio, an avid marathon runner, and been on various literary platforms with her poetic renditions. She's a recipient of various world and national records on the poetic front. And I take great pride in announcing her books, Shades of Emotion, Ehsaas Ke Jharoke, and As I, as her recent publications. Another latest venture that Dr. Nidhi is actively involved in is Let Urja Talk, which is a candid conversation that she has with professionals about their passions in life from her YouTube channel, Urja Nidhi. Also the director of a magazine, Litero Fashionate, blending literature and style. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Nidhi, ma'am. And it is a pleasure to have you on board today. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anju ma'am, for that generous, introduction. And pleasure is all mine. And I welcome all the global listeners today, learners here, and for this wonderful session that we are going to have. And of course, Dr. Balani has spoken so wonderfully well about the perquisites and a very insightful learning about how corporates should, when he said that when you abide by the rules set, the code of conduct set by the corporate or any institution or organization, you definitely benefit in the long run. And so today I welcome all the learners and trainers. When we say trainers or learners, we definitely mean for ourselves also, because when we are on a global platform, there is so much to learn and so much to accept from others also, as it is a global platform, and we have global learners and trainers, and exchanging our knowledge, exchanging thoughts, and it goes so much into making the whole nation, the whole planet, something, a very knowledgeable, outcome of it. And so today my topic for discussion would be here is ethics and code of conduct. And when we talk about code of conduct and ethics, I would request each one of you present here today to kindly switch off your, audios, but, I could see all those faces here today. So because when we talk about code of conduct and ethics here, we want each one of you to be in communication with me. So when I talk to you, I can see your faces and the kind of body language that you have right now, the kind of knowledge that we are going to spread with each other, how well you are receiving, how well I'm able to connect to you. So today, as we begin our session, today we are going to talk about ethics and code of conduct. And now that I've shared my screen, and today we begin with ethics and code of conduct are equally important in communication. Ethics refers to the principles and standards that guide individuals and groups to distinguish between right and wrong behavior. When we talk about ethics and code of conduct, be it an institution or a corporate, house that you're working in, or maybe any kind of relationship you're into, maybe, a personal relationship, anything, there are certain ethics, there are code of conduct we need to follow, certain rules that we need to follow. Because when each time you have a definite set of protocols, you can distinguish between what is correct, what is incorrect, what is right, what is wrong, and where you've crossed the line, and where there has been a breach of trust, maybe breach of ethics, maybe. So this is what we need to do. And as we go ahead, move ahead in life, this is what, we can bank upon. When you are following a certain set of rules, you become reliable, you become, stable, you become, ethically more inviting. Because then people trust you and then they come back to you. You make a goodwill for your own self, for the company, for the corporate, for the institution, for any organization that you're working on. And that is what positivity is all about. And then when you are into an ethical behavior, it speaks a lot about your own honesty, integrity, and you definitely get the respect that you imbibe in yourself. And this is what you give to others. And it definitely helps in building trust and credibility. Ethics in communication. Definitely, when we talk about ethics, how you can communicate, it talks a lot about being honest and transparent. Because if you are honest and transparent in your dealings, Definitely, it reflects in the work, the kind of work that you do, and it involves respecting the listener's options and feelings, refraining from using language that is discriminatory or offensive. Of course, nobody wants to be in touch with any person, however, influential he or she might be. If that person uses, discriminatory language or offensive, something which is not, easy to our ears, easy to our mind. And it also involves maintaining confidentiality when necessary and avoiding conflicts of interest. So this is something what we need to know, that ethics, we need to the right kind of communication should be there, so that we can be in the nature of communicating with others. And also, okay, now we move the screen to what are the types of code of conduct that we need to observe and exercise also. That is integrity, confidentiality, objectivity, professionalism, and competence. When we talk about integrity, these are high moral values that one should, have them embedded in the way they work, the nature of work they are into, and it should be highly. I would like to say that, when a person talks about values, when you are in sound moral system, it talks a lot about your nature. And when it imbibes in your system, it becomes a way of living. It becomes your lifestyle. So when people look up to you, they look up to you with positivity and definitely relate to you, the kind of work. And then the relationship goes on a very long way into building something really strong and positive. And of course, when we talk about confidentiality, that is something we need to exercise, because there are certain rules which need to be followed. Some rules, some, you can say like some points which need to be revealed, some which have to be under wraps, under cover. And so we should know the kind of, things that we are revealing to the whole world, or maybe there are things that we should keep them into wraps. So that is something which we need to understand, what has to be revealed and what has to be kept under cover, and not breaching the trust that the corporate has with us. Or maybe, because there are things that we need to understand, that why people should maintain it. And when we talk about objectivity, why have we set these certain rules and regulations? Why have we set up these protocols? So there should be a purpose. There should be a reason why we are setting these code of conduct, these small points that a person should follow, being in an organization or an institution. And professionalism. Of course, professionalism is of utmost importance, because when we are talking about professionalism, there is something which you need to bind yourself with, because when you are working in an organization, there are certain protocols which enhance you as a person, and you are dealing with them on a professional level. So there is a code of conduct, because if you are not doing it in a proper way, so maybe people take you for granted, people take you too easy. And so you should maintain that piece of information that you need to give them very professionally, and be in that particular aura of, the working that you are into. And competence, of course, competence, when we talk about competence, is something which we need to understand, that you are competent to do something that is in your jurisdiction, something which you need to express to others, that you are given a particular, what do you say? I'm kind of short of words here. Competence, like you are given a certain area to compete in, to work around, and then you are competent enough to work in that area and show your expertise and commitment towards it. So these are the type of code of conduct that we should maintain, and we should know what we are into and how we should comply with the people that are around with us, the people who are working with us. And the code of conduct, when we talk about it, there should be decent conduct. Avoid filthy language. Of course, nobody wants to be, in a person who has, profanity, written on his face. Nobody wants to be there with him. And warm and friendly atmosphere. Of course, when there should be congeniality in the atmosphere, that the environment that you're working in, and if it is friendly, of course, you tend to increase in your potential, you tend to work harder, you become friendly, and even more positive vibes, which attract more of people, like-minded people. Formal attire, of course, formal attire. Like when the first impression of a person is the attire, the outlook, the outer look that you get out of it. Because when you see someone who is well dressed, with a friendly disposition, of course, you feel more attracted to that person. You feel more relatable. You want to talk to that because you know that person is in complete discipline and something whom you can relate to. So that formal attire is, of course, very much important when you are in a corporate or any other organization or wherever you are. That attire, of course, plays a huge role into it. And compliance with the rules and regulations, of course, when we are talking about code of conduct, we need to comply with the rules that has been set up. These rules help you to be uniform in your working style. And then there is stability. And when there is when you are into rules, people know that breach of rule would definitely bring in something, discrepancy in the working, or maybe the towards injustice, or maybe something which would not be in like not in the favor of the company or the person dealing with. So there is something we need to, it is not an option. We should definitely go by the rules. And as Balani sir also said, that when you follow the rules, definitely you are benefited in the long run. Of course, avoid harsh language. Now that is something we should always avoid, not only when we are working, like everywhere, because if you are into your personal space also and you are using any kind of harsh language, so definitely it would reflect in the kind of work that you're doing and in your workplace as well. Pleasant appearance, that is something, of course, we all want to look ahead to. And when we have like on the screens, when we have people looking forward to learn, looking forward to grasp the language, and you have that pleasantness within you, if you are into something where you want to dictate something, where you want to convey something, and you do not have a pleasant appearance, definitely people would feel more repulsive towards you. Maybe they would just lose the interest and would not communicate with you. So pleasant appearance is always acceptable and never goes out of style. So next, the topic that we are going to touch here, the English word communication is derived from Latin communis, meaning common sense. The word means transmission and interaction of facts, ideas, opinions, feelings, or attitude. Communication is the essence of management, the basic function of management: planning, staffing, supervision, and management cannot be done effectively without effective communication. Now, when we talk about communication, it is not only about talking, it is not only about writing a letter or emails or anything. Now that we are into communication, which is actually two ways, and I'll tell you how. Right now, I might be just talking to you, but we are communicating as I see you looking at the screen, we have this eye contact. And when I'm learning from your body language, how much you are trying to grasp from me. And when I see if someone is switching off the video mode, means the communication between us has stopped. Because it is not only about the verbal, communication that we are talking here about. The body language, the eye contact plays a huge role in communication, of course. And when I talk about the two-way, it is definitely two-way, and how we do it. Because when you are talking to someone, it is about how you are how attentive you are, how approachable you are, how relatable you are, and how much you can communicate, be a part of that conversation. And it can be through anything. It can be like, I might be just looking away from you. and trying to just, pose that I am listening to you, but my mind is traveling somewhere else. And this is absolutely
Sorry, check your slide.
Nidhi ma'am,
Check your
may I
slide.
just
Slide.
interrupt? The slides are not moving forward, ma'am.
okay.
It's
Yes,
still
of course.
stuck. I think you can just stop share and reshare again, please.
So where do I have to begin from?
Ma'am, you're on the communication slide.
course,
The first
communication.
slide has been showing so far to
All right.
us. Okay,
Mhm.
so you
Okay.
could reshare and begin from whichever slide that is. Yes.
Communication process. Can you see this
Right.
now?
Yes,
Okay, as
ma'am.
we were talking about, it's a two-way process. So it is a two-way process which involves transferring of information or messages from one person to another. Now, when we talk about communication, like, okay, now that the screen shows that first is the sender, that I am sending you a message. Maybe it is verbal, it is written, it is a voice note. We have so many modes of communication nowadays. It can be through an email or a letter or anything that is available to us these days. And then the message is sent to the receiver. And encoding. Now, what does encoding mean? Encoding is how you accept it, how you are reading it, how you can feel it, how you are able to, understand the message. The way it is written, the language maybe is different from you. You need to encode that. You need to understand that and get into your system. And then there are different channels that you can receive these messages from, through mails you're getting, through faxes you're getting, through messages, through WhatsApps, through any kind of message. They can be visual, they can be audio. And these are the messages that we receive. And of course, the receiver receives the message when you're sending. And then the receiver decodes those messages. And how you decode these messages. It can be, decoding these messages means how you are understanding them and how you are relating to it, how you are making that the message that it is sent to you, how you are interpreting that in your words maybe, or maybe the way that has been explained by the sender. So, and then when you assess the whole of the message, you are giving a feedback. So these messages can be ideas, imaginations, thoughts, or anything. Maybe they are, related to your professional work or your personal or your corporate levels or education stuff, anything that is, we need to communicate each other the messages that we have. And this is the whole process. The sender, the encoding, decoding, and definitely the feedback is most important, because until you send the feedback to someone, it is very difficult to complete that whole process, the whole cycle of communication. And moving on ahead, what is the importance of communication? Now, communication foundation, the manager explains to the employees the goals of the organization and their success, the interpersonal relationships with them. This provides a two-way communication between the various staff and departments. Therefore, communication serves as the basis for collaboration in any organization. Of course, the top level management needs to communicate to the various departments, the delegates, the staff that is working for them. And when there is a very sound and a transparent communication foundation between the two, definitely there is no stopping in their productivity.
Next slide. Moving to the next slide.
Slides again.
No, I am still on the second point. The first point has been completed.
What I am saying now, excuse me, please do not interrupt in between. She is a very trainer. She will do it. Okay, thank you.
Now, functionality, when we talk about, the manager coordinates the individuals and physical aspects of the organization in order to run efficiently and effectively. This integration is not possible without proper communication. Now, the manager and individuals and will need to coordinate The physical aspects of the organization means all the rules, the regulations, how the working is to be done of the organization has to be communicated by the manager. Because if this is not done, the staff, the working staff would run haywire, because not knowing the rules, not knowing the protocols, they might work on their own, which would definitely affect the working of an organization. So this is most important, that both the top level management, the delegates, they need to communicate the rules, the regulations, and everything very effectively for proper working of the organization. And now moving on the third point, what is the importance is improves management ability. Just a moment, yeah, improves management ability. The manager transfers targets and issues instructions and assigns tasks to subordinates. Just a moment, some technical issue, yeah. And all of these factors are included. Now, for the smooth working of any organization, the manager needs to, inculcate the positivity, the attitude of the organization to this working staff, and has to, give them instructions, set targets for them, and issue instructions, give them the proper instructions how these tasks have to be carried out. And definitely it goes a long way when a strong communication is built between the top level management, the working staff, the managers. Definitely the corporate or the organization moves in the right direction. And the basis for decision making. Good communication provides information to the manager and helps them make decisions. No decisions could have been made without knowledge. Thus, communication is the basis for making the right decision. Of course, because if there is lack of communication, or maybe some point where the communication between the two parties breaks down, or there is a gap between them, definitely it would be very difficult to make decisions. So good communication provides appropriate information and of course, brings together both the parties so that they can make the right decision at the right time for the benefit of the organization and themselves also. Now, moving on ahead, what are the barriers to communication? Of course. Now, the barriers, of course, we have known the importance of communication, and let's move ahead to the barriers. Lack of proper style and feedback. Sometimes there is some kind of maybe improper language used probably, or maybe half of it, half information is given, or half big theories are settled down. So what happens is there is a gap, occurs in between the communication between the top level management or the managerial, level, and the staff or the people who are working under them. And definitely when there is a lack of communication, the feedback also, becomes, of course, it becomes half late, and definitely then there communication barriers start occurring, and you have a product, you have a work done which is not up to the mark. So this is what happens when there is lack of proper style in communicating. Content is not related to customer requirements. Now, there is some content which we provide to the customer, which is not relevant to them, which does not give them proper services maybe, and the right product maybe. And so when this is not communicated in the well, what the customers demand and what the company is giving, what the corporate is trying to provide to the customer, when these two aspects are not taken into account, definitely due to lack of right communication, there are problems and which needs to be solved, and definitely we need to back up with the communication part of it. Failure to maintain dual communication. Sometimes it, of course, happens that a person is trying to communicate, maybe not in the right direction, the communication is not going into the right direction, or maybe the other person fails to respond, or maybe the backup is not in the proper proper way. So there are barriers to, these are the barriers to communication, and there is a failure. And when there is a failure, we have a certain lack of communication also becomes a fallback. There is a certain drawback in the communication between the two parties, and then we definitely see a drop in the relationship, maybe drop in the sales, if you're in the sales department or anything like that. So definitely when the two parties are not on the same page, not in the communicating same page, so there are certain difficulties that both of them face. And lack of horizontal flow of ideas, of course. When there is a flow of ideas which are not going in the right direction, maybe, or maybe I am being on a corporate level, on a managerial level, I'm working on page A and my colleague or my subordinate is working on page B. So we have a difference in the level of communication gap, and there we have a gap, and we fail to understand each other's line of thinking. And definitely when this happens, there is a lack of horizontal flow of ideas. So we do not comply on the same page and problems occur. We have semantic problems and errors. Errors may occur, and we need to bridge the gap between the two. And so to be on the same page, to be definitely working on the same level, thinking on the same ideas, there might be barriers, there might be levels of thinking, but then we need to comply on the same page and try to work, removing each other's barriers, maybe language barriers, maybe some time issues, anything that we need to communicate well. Because a communication, when it comes to simple flow of ideas, simply when we put our words in plain simple words transparently, I think that goes a long way in cutting short the barriers and to a regular flow of ideas, thoughts, and a beautiful working, making a very congenial atmosphere in the organization to work ahead. And lack of leadership, of course, lack of leadership, because if there is a leadership problem, because you are the boss and you do not want your subordinates maybe to work on the same level, you are trying to boss them, you are not trying to give them the liberty to give you ideas, suggestions, get back to you, and like maybe some problems that need to be solved, you are not ears to them. So maybe that is your lack of leadership, which leads to a communication problem, a barrier to communication. Lack of enthusiasm, when you do not want to get back to when you have a certain problem maybe in the organization, and people get back to you with suggestions and suggestions or maybe ideas, but you are not interested to listen to them, you are not interested to solve those issues. So definitely there is a lack of enthusiasm. And when you see this kind of thing, definitely people do not want to relate to you, do not want to come back to you, do not want to associate with you. So these are the few things that we need to remove them, we need to eradicate from our organization maybe, so that there are no barriers to communication. Lack of support from heads and leaders, as already said, because if the top level is not enthusiastic about doing things, is not progressive, not futuristic about holding up, doing great things together, bringing along their subordinates together, listening to their worries, listening to their problems, and also being supportive of their ideas. So when there is a lack of support from the top managerial level, definitely these are the barriers to communication. And moving ahead now, what are the keys to effective communication? Okay, now I will just rush through this because I think we are moving short of time. Modulation refers to the variation in the pitch, tone, and volume of the individual's voice. It helps to emphasize on certain words and phrases. The message is conveyed with more clarity and impact. It creates a dynamic and engaging experience for the listeners. Of course, when you are in company of a person who is lethargic, there is lack of enthusiasm, and absolutely no to anything, no willingness to learn, unlearn, or maybe communicate. So you definitely do not want to be in association with that person. If you see a speaker listening, okay, how do we do it? let's do this in a very lethargic, laid back way. You would not feel energetic yourself. But when you hear someone with a pitch that encourages you to learn, a pitch, a tone that makes you feel more encouraged, more energized, you definitely want to communicate with that person. You are willing to learn. You are willing to be in company with that person. However, of course, there are benefits, and of course, there are barriers to communication when overuse of modulation can be seen as insincerity or manipulation. Of course, there are times when we raise the volume, when the tone of our what we are trying to express increases. That maybe we are trying to manipulate, or maybe it shows that we want to be in a dictatorship maybe. So that is also, we need to control. We need to modulate our voice, which is more effective, in a more effective way, that people can come back to you. People think in a positive way that they are going to learn something. They feel that balance between your voice, the communication that you want to share with them, and of course, there should be authenticity in your voice. Because the moment you hear a person speak and that touches your mind, this is something very psychological, because when there is authenticity, honesty in your voice, it strikes here, it strikes in the head. This is human behavior. And when we listen to someone which brings us more goodness, which we can feel the positivity in that person, we definitely want to be with that person. We definitely want to learn from that person. And definitely we need to be more positive in our voice. Of course, that creates a whole lot of aura about us. And moving ahead, annotation. Annotation is a way to convey different meanings or emotions. For example, surprise, excitement, or sarcasm. The use of annotation can significantly affect how a message is perceived by the listener. If I'm excited and I would say, oh, this is such a wonderful news. So that it's so contradictory. I mean, it's an exciting news, it's a wonderful news, and the way I'm saying it is not put up in an effective way. So it also reflects how how a message has been conveyed and how it has been perceived by the listener. So it refers to patterns of rise and fall in pitch of the speech. It enhances the meaning, understanding of connotations and context of the speech. Of course, if there is something, if I would say, oh, hurrah, this is such a wonderful day, and what a wonderful job that you've done. But then there is no tonality, there is a surprise element, no excitement. And in spite of the fact that I'm saying something which holds a lot of value, which shows a lot of excitement, but my voice, the way I'm conveying it to you contradicts completely. So you wouldn't feel it. You wouldn't feel the excitement. You wouldn't feel anything. Of course, when you say, oh my God, that is such a wonderful, presentation that you've done. So this would mean something, of course, that you are being praised. You are being put up in a situation where this has been accepted most wonderfully. There is an element of excitement. There is an element of surprise. There is an element of, well-being. There's an element of congratulations, celebrations, so much more. So when we do something like this, there should be an annotation, the way we convey our feelings, which add, words adding meaning to our emotions. So that is most important. And of course, clarity. Clarity is another important aspect of communication skills. It involves expressing oneself in a clear and concise manner, using appropriate language and avoiding jargon of technical terms that the other person may not understand. I can speak volumes about in the most difficult of English language maybe, but what is the use of that language? What is the new use of that knowledge if I cannot express, if you cannot understand, if you are unable to get those terms correctly in your mind? There is no point of showing off my jargon of vocabulary, jargon of technical knowledge maybe. That is just not required, because when you are expressing yourself, when you are explaining something, it should be in a language that the other person understands. Simple when it is required, technical also when it is required. It helps to convey credibility and authority and makes the other person likely to trust and respect the speaker. Because if I, as a speaker, I know I have to say these things, I can be A, B, C, D in a very difficult way, but you are not able to understand. You would not be able to understand what I'm conveying to you. And maybe then you would think at the back of mind, oh, this person is trying to put me down. Because in a way, if you are not clear in what I am saying, and I'm just trying to put up a show of words, show of vocabulary, probably, that means I'm trying to let you down, probably, that to show you in bad light or show you in a darker light, which is just not required. Clarity of thoughts, clarity of words, clarity of expression is most important. And now moving ahead, okay, thank you for communicating. And now when we talk about communicating, I hope I have put you in a place where there were so many things we conducted about what communication is all about. It is never only about the language that you talk about, the messages that you send or verbal. It is all about understanding each other, explaining yourself, getting to learn and know the other person as well in the simplest form. And that is by maybe talking or the body language, the eye contact, so much so forth. I hope I was able to explain myself in this ethics and codes and communication session. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nidhi ma'am. I think you were just the person to take this session across. And I think you've shared a great knowledge as to how we should be as trainers. So really, really appreciate your session a lot, ma'am. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I convey this from, I think, the entire set of learners that we have tonight. And now coming to the last bit of our session, I am actually overwhelmed to introduce our next knowledge guru, or I don't know what to put it as, but still, it gives me immense pleasure and pride to introduce to the learners of this knowledge session. I would like to call her the knowledge powerhouse, Professor Dr. Nada, our Europe co-founder of International Internship University. She's an established educator, trainer, scientist, researcher, inventor, speaker, moderator, and social worker. She is a professor, faculty of economics, business, and tourism in Croatia. She serves as a mentor professor in VET school in Croatia, and she's also the president of the research center IIU. Besides this, she's a STEM expert and designer of many ERP info systems. She serves as an advisor in Agency for Education and Center for Excellence. She's also an active member of the Croatian Society for Operational Research. She's a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert and a Minecraft Global Mentor. She's a founder and coordinator of many national and global projects such as Erasmus+, e-twinning, STEM, amongst many others. To add to all of this, she has authored and co-authored scientific articles, high school and university books. Recipient of many awards, to name a few: International Women's Award, Entrepreneur Award, Global Creative Women's Award, Global Edu Thought Leader, International Educator of the Year, and one of the most inspiring educators. I think she truly deserves a place in the Golden Book of Educators. Welcome, Nada ma'am. It is a great privilege to be introducing you and hoping that you will lead us to summarizing the entire 3-day program for us, and of course, your added knowledge as well. Welcome and good evening, ma'am, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anju. Thank you for the kind introduction. Here also greetings from Croatia to all great trainers and trainees here today, these 3 days. So I get a task to summarize this training session, this 3 days of being a certified global trainer by IIU. First, I will start from our trainers, Ravi, Dr. Queen, Dr. Vasudev, Dr. Nidhi, all make a great 3 days training session. Sir Ravi started with the models 1 and 2. It was very important for all our trainees to learn, to listen what is the meaning of a trainer, what a trainers do. So being a global trainer, that means here we have different we have educators, we have entrepreneurs, we have from the medical field different fields, but everywhere you can be a trainer for your trainees. You will give them, instruct them, guide them. You will help them to develop their competences, their skills, giving them the knowledge, talking to them how to write. But we need to know a difference also between mentoring and training. That is not the same. Training is giving you the questions of the skills, giving you the attitude, giving you the knowledge, and it is leading you to the learning objectives. If we are talking about the mentoring, we also have at IIU the mentors program. So at mentoring, we involve always uh, we are mentors are involved in helping someone to acquire the skills, knowledge, and attitude, but it is leading like a client. Starting from the model 1, from the needs and requirements for the international trainer, we first need to get that, we need to have that educational qualification. As our Sir Ravi said, and he called them PET, professional, educated, and trained. Also talking about the qualification, learning the language, having the communication skills, public speaking, giving the personality development, confidence, subject knowledge, soft skills, life skills, adult education. So here, talking about the model 2, what is a role as a trainer? What is your role being a trainer? If we are thinking about that, we said we are making training sessions. Yes, you are a trainer, we are learners, we are trainers. So the trainer means he need to give you the trust. He needs to be a relevant. He needs to be architect, intellectual, non-discriminative, elevator, and real learning. I repeat what our great Ravi sir said. That is the meaning of the trainer. Trainer needs to have the qualities. And he took and used the Kolb's learning style. He was talking about the experience, the test reflections, and the conceptualization. Setting the goals, that is the most important part. If we don't have the goals, how will we achieve anything? So using smart and the 5Ds. If we talk about the smart, how to define a goal, we need to know that the goal first needs to be specific. What it means specific? If we don't make it specific, it is not measurable. How can I make a goal? That is, we educators really know we can make a comparison between this with our outcomes. Our outcomes after learning. If we don't make them smart, then we didn't do nothing. Because today, the students, educators, the lifelong learners really need to have, I can say, a product, a final product. So if we don't have a final product, we didn't make nothing. So these goals need to be achievable, relevant, and timely. We need to have a time. We need to know how to manage the time. So that is here, and they're always in the training process. The training process needs to have the steps. So I already now recommend the outcomes. We need to determine the outcomes. We need to make a link between the outcomes and and in Croatia, we have now intermediate subjects. What it means, intermediate subjects? Learn how to learn. We have 7, so learn how to learn. Then you need to have put there the digital, the informatization, entrepreneurship in your outcomes. You need to have a correlation with all that intermediate subjects. Then if we are trainer, we need to identify the trainable competences. Here we have an audience, a big audience, and we need to have more interactions to know about the competence. But we have the chat, we see, we read what our trainees write in the chat. Then we need to prioritize training needs. What are the needs of our trainees? So for all of that, without a plan that cannot go. Also, this program and cannot make a person who is not professional for that, who don't have the characteristics, who don't know how a curriculum is looking, how to design a curriculum. So using innovative methods, pedagogical methods, I can say we know all it's coming from the Bloom. Also, this program was made by the Bloom's taxonomy. After that, we come to the model 3. The model 3, already I said, setting smart goals, And if we are talking about the goals, we need to have the skills, good organizational skills. We need to have experience. So yesterday, our great Sir Vasudeva said, skill is a practical. Without practice, it cannot be transferred. And that is a true. We need to brush the skills. Today, especially in the vocational education. In the vocational education, we are getting our students cannot go on the trade and be competitive for the work if they don't have the skills. And we also, how can I be a dentist if I don't know to make the tooth? So that is a skill. That is a meaning of the skills. So we are expecting that skills. We are accepting the attitudes. We need to be very good prepared. That means that we need to know to listen. If we don't know to listen, if we don't know to understand, if we don't know to make difference between the truth and the facts, and at the end we need to put it in the practice, and that means application. That means application. Before we put it in the process, like example, if we are making a product, we need to check it, we need to recheck it, we need to cross the check, and we need to make a double check. So trainer needs to have, our great professor Vasudeva said, a trainer need to have a mind, a body, and the heart. That is a real meaning, a mind, body, and heart. And we are going again from the skills, from the objective, what we learn, what is the flowing and what is the movement. Coming to the model 4, our great Dr. Queen Elizabeth yesterday was talking about the challenges, the challenges, cultural differences, language barriers, persistency, understanding the participants. Our great Professor Queen now in April is coming in the part 4 of relationships. So in relationships, all these challenges are needed. So all these topics are correlated one with other. If we don't understand one model, like example, this setting the goals, how can we understand the challenges? And cultural difference. We here today on this stage, we are coming from the different countries. We all have different culture. India, it has the most, I can say, culture. The land with the richest culture on the world. And we don't have language barriers. Why we don't have the language barriers? Because we are using English language. And if we don't know English, we are learning. We are learning together. More you are talking, you will more know the language. So we are every day making challenges. And yesterday, our great Dr. Queen said, what are the synonyms of challenging? Tough, difficult, hard, complicated, testing. But for us, that is a challenge. That is a challenge. Everything what we are doing is a challenge. Today, we come to the Model 5, to the ethics and the code of conduct. Our Dr. Nidhi explained us all about this, avoiding harsh language, filthy language, what it means. And we come to the communication. So what is the code of the ethics and what is the code of conduct? There are big difference between the code of ethics and the code of conducting. I have a subject, a corporate responsibility, and I'm teaching my students about also one subject is ethics and moral. So that is very nice. In each one subject, ethics and moral needs to be involved. Like example, what is code of ethics? That is a set of principles based on the value and morals. But code of conduct is a set of rules and regulations. So here we have rules and regulations at conducting. At ethics, we have values and morals, which company, which schools, which university needs to make if they want to bring a good decision, if they don't want to make it wrong. Code of ethics. Code of ethics is explaining how decisions are made, but the code of conduct is dictating how employees, how students must act. Here at ethics, we have the focus on the values. At conduct, we have the focus on the rules and compliance. We see a big difference between conducting. We see a big difference, and we need to have the skills for all of that. If we want to make this, we need to know the differences. We need to know the similarities. Both codes are similar. Differences with similarities comes the difference. So for this conducting this there are so many great tools. There are so many great tools that giving for the educators, for the organizations. Like example, for financial, for accounting, in the world we have International Ethics Standard Board for Accounting. It is called IESB, and it is giving the settings of the high quality international ethics standards. Every organization needs to have his code, ethic code. Even in the school, how the students needs to how they need to be in the classroom, in the school. So here we are choosing the right time, we are choosing the right place. We are always planning, making the strategy. Without a plan and strategy, I say there is nothing. I was thinking about also we have so many barriers to the communication. We need a feedback. We have here problems, especially if the another side is not understanding. We need to come deeply and think about that, because it is so sad if we don't understand our another side when we are in a communication process. We can show it verbal, non-verbal, but we need to understand the person who is another side, because today, especially in this, I can say we are living in a world where so many people are not understand. Their words are interpreting. They're making interpretation on a not correct way. That is what we need to understand. We need to think before we give an answer or we give a kind of explanation, especially in our work. So that is also a part of this training sessions of trainer and trainee, because we can make we maybe if we make some kind of teamwork. We have a teamwork. So somebody is a president, somebody is a leader, but we have always persons who are only talking but not acting. So that could be a big barrier also in learning, in the learning process. There is a one phenomena called golden cage. Nobody didn't mention that these days, but I will mention it. That is happening today a lot in this modern society, I can say. Phenomena who is affecting many people in their career. You know, you have a part, you have a one period in your life when you get a job and you get a nice salary, and maybe you feel that you have stopped growing with that salary and you don't feel good, you don't enjoy. Your employer gives, your chief gives you a great car, mobile, a laptop, computers, everything, but you are still not satisfied doing that work. So never be catched in that golden cage, because that affect your job, that affect your mental health. We need to think about our wealth, our mental health. So there are so many psychotests, and there are so many statements there where you can recognize yourself. Like example, you are doing a work month and year, and you want to go in, you want to be retirement. Then you have a situation when you are thinking, I hate my job, but you love the income. So are the money are the money really worth for your stress situation? Then my job situation is bound to get better, but I'm not hanging it there. So there's so many statements. There's so many statements. You think if I quit with this job, I will never find another job. The chances of my finding job are really truly slim and none. That is not true. That is not true. So this also, your trainer needs to explain you all the situations, what can, especially for the careers, for your careers, because we know that we all live from our work. We live from our work, from the incomes that we are going. So there is always a way out. There is always a way out. We need to identify if our job or if our career is not working for us. Then we need to keep our eye on spending or setting some savings if necessary. We need to have some savings because especially when we are talking about our jobs today, you need to have some savings for tomorrow. Then before you do that, you need to decide what is your next career step. You need to be brave enough if you want to take that leap. If you can't only give a decision, ask your friends, ask your family for advice, or talk to a professional. I'm coming back to the goals. You need to set some short-term achievable goals. So if you believe in yourself, you'll be sure to find the right path. That is what we do these 3 days. These 3 days, we are putting the ethical dilemma in the communication. We are giving, we are thinking and controlling our harsh language. What is the harsh language? We know we all read the Bible, we read the Quran, we read these things, and we are watching. There's so many tips and tricks. Like example, watch your own language, use your right terminology for the body parts. Don't ever emphasize your family values. Think about your family, decide what you will do. So become self-aware and plan. Recognize why you want to stop with something. Notice when you can do that? When can you curse? Always have a notice behind yourself, a pencil. Then enlist help. You need to ask for help, and brainstorming with you alone. And then again, ask your friends. So you need to trust yourself. You can do all that you can do, because yes, we can. Yes, we can, as our great Dr. Elizabeth always said. And I'm touching the last point. Today from our great Professor Vasudeva. He was talking about this Percocites. I will not touch this topic because he clearly explain us everything with his examples from the practice. What is the exposure to the international platform? How flexible work needs to be to around other committees? How to connect with people who have a wide range of geographical backgrounds? Then good remuneration. He said that he explained us that great. So thinking about the skills, we come again to the skills. We need the skills, all the skills required. We need to brush our skills. Also, we always need to do everything with a big smile. That means humor with the topic. If you don't come on your work, or if you don't present your students or your employee with a smile, with sense of humor, then you will be you will not give them that courage that they need. So keep away all the bad technique like briefing, action, and debriefing, empathy, and try to change. Be flexible and try to make this adoption to the change. I think that I really touch. I can talk a lot. I will stop here because we need a time for the discussion. We will now have a discussion with our great trainers and trainees. So please be free. Put all your questions in the chat, or open your mic and ask. So we are starting with this open question session. Dr. Anju, Dr. Snitka,
Yeah, Nada, I think there are no questions.
actually.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think you all have just made it very clear, right? So I think we
Yes.
should end with this. Dr. Anju, the
Yes.
floor is all yours. Yeah.
Yes, thank you,
Okay.
Snigdha ma'am. So I would like to extend my thanks first and foremost to our expert or talented, multifaceted trainers for the 3 days. Ravi sir, Vasudev sir, Dr. Nidhi ma'am, Nada ma'am, Queen Elizabeth ma'am, for taking us through different aspects of being a global trainer. And I think everything was put forth very clearly and very explicitly. So I would like to thank you all for your valuable time and the insights that you shared with us. I'm sure every one of us have carried some points that we can all work on. Like Ravi sir rightly said, that you have to introspect and implement what you learned in your next sessions. Besides this, I would like to, of course, thank our chief mentor, guide, inspirator. I don't know, I'm in short of words for dear Piyush Pandit sir, for providing this wonderful platform where we can have such talented presenters and sharing of knowledge across the globe. So I think we all need to congratulate sir on putting forth a platform such as this. So thank you so much, sir, for this platform. And of course, I would also like to thank Snigdha ma'am for being the wonderful co-host or the person behind the scenes, egging everybody on and just motivating us to put in our best. So heartfelt gratitude to everyone on the IIU team who has made this event simply fabulous. And of course, to all our learners from across the globe, Nigeria, Croatia, India, and other countries. I'm sorry, I could just recollect a few of these. Thank you for being such patient and, welcoming learners, because I think it's because of you, all the presenters were able to connect with you and, provide their wonderful insights. I would like to just end this session. I hope it has been a great session. I have carried back lots more learning points for myself, and wishing everyone the very best for their journeys ahead. Good night, bonsoir, shubhratri, and shabba khair. Till the next event that we have, it's a heartfelt thank you to all present here on the show today. Thank you so much. We loved having you, and we hope you enjoyed the same. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anju, for being the wonderful moderator for all the 3 days. And I hope to have you for many more sessions of IIU. Once again, heartfelt thanks to all the trainers for all the 3 days. Certainly, it's a power-packed sessions for all 3 days with wonderful presentations, extremely brilliant theoretical knowledge. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.